Our first guest, who has come in from Turkey. He is the CEO of Pegasus Airlines. So nice round of applause. Nice to meet you. I didn't give him your name, Mehmet Nane. Good to see you again. Grab a seat, and I will just actually go to the other side and join you over here.
Here?
No, let's just let's get cozy.
We have plenty of room.
Great. Well, nice to see you again. And
it's my pleasure.
I think we met, originally, was it about 3 years ago?
3 years ago, when I just started.
You were quite new as a CEO. And I remember at that time that things were looking pretty tough for Pegasus, not only for Pegasus, but Turkey was going through a lot of changes. Politically, there was an effect in terms of traffic, a massive drop in traffic. But in terms of looking at your figures in the last few days as preparation for the session, things seem to have really turned around. So has there really been a major turnaround story in the last year?
Thanks
Mehmet?
to the team.
Okay.
A part of my team is here.
By the way, can I get the timer on, please? I haven't got a timer on the screen here.
No, it's working.
Oh, yes, it's here. It's
a small one.
Thanks.
So what we have done in 2016, when he had all of those turmoil days, we turned back to basics. What are the basics for LCC? First, we are trying to fly people from one point to another at affordable prices and try to create value for the customers. Second, we clean in-house the company, and in order to have the financial needs, instead of borrowing money, we sold our assets, aircraft. So we, out of the crisis in 2016, at the end of the 2016, we had a clean house, net message to the customers, creating value, and cash in our accounts. So back to basics was the main strategy we applied, and with the support of our team, we had a really prosperous 2018, and first half was really promising, and the third quarter is also going very well.
I mean, if you like, crisis management that you described, I remember seeing that you were hardly taking delivery of new aircraft and then you were selling them. But did a large number of those aircraft leave the fleet permanently, or did you manage to negotiate maybe some shorter-term leases?
No, we sold.
They sold them completely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In order to have cash, because we ordered in 2012, if you remember, 100 aircraft.
Yeah.
And we started to see the first NEOs in 2016, just at the middle of the crisis. In order to sponsor those through credit, we said that let's have cash in our hand. We sold our old fleet, and we will reduce the age of our fleet and have cash in our accounts.
Great.
So
I'll come back to the fleet in a minute, because I think it's an important part of what I see you doing now. But the actual turnaround, I mean, the figures in your most recent report are impressive. If I look at the growth in the market, and I know that Turkey as a country, and for yourself as an airline, tourism is a big part of the dynamic, and tourism had sunk dramatically, but it does seem to have come back globally, really, from all markets. Is that a valid point?
Yeah. When you look at Turkey in the last 25 years, although we have lots of zigzags within the years, the continuous growth was around 5%.
Right.
So it's continuous upwards, but in a band, and there are zigzags around it. So this is what to mean a developing country. So there are opportunities. When you look at a developing country, or when you want to work in a developing country, what you have to look, you have to take care of the business and what you're doing daily. But you have to think mid to long term and arrange your investments according to your risk appetite accordingly. So there's a slang saying, you have to cover your back today, but don't forget to think tomorrow. So this is the slogan. And when you're looking a company in turnover times like a body, if you want to survive the body, you don't have to hesitate to cut fingers or amputate certain parts of the body. So, and you have to talk this about your people. We have two customers, internal and external, and you have to take care equally both. If you don't take care of your internal customers, communicate with them what you're doing, and if you don't make your allies, you cannot overcome the crisis. So, open communication, transparent communication. This is it, chaps. And we have to overcome this. So let's bring all the sources, all the minds together and find the solution together. We did that in 2016. So that's why we convert our team efforts into a real team.
Right. And do you think your ability to do that successfully is because you're smaller but not a small company as compared to Turkish Airlines? That is still very much a government invested airline while you're a private company. Do you think that's made a difference? Because Turkish Airlines, I see, is still having more challenges than you are, and that's even reflected in the share price. Your share price has been going strongly up and Turkish the opposite.
There's a saying in Turkish, I don't know whether you have similar one in English or not.
I'll tell you.
When you go to a butcher, all the animals hang by their feet. So we take care of our own job, and we do not look at what others are doing.
Right.
So our main duty as the Pegasus team is to promise and fulfill those promises both to our internal, external customers and to our shareholders, and it's creating value. Very simple.
Now, looking at the financials, I mean, the financials are strongly positive in the first 6 months of this year. And one of the things I was reading, of course, is a wider challenge is, there's been a big depreciation of the Turkish lira. Now, on the one hand, that maybe is helpful in terms of, again, encouraging tourism, but from your point of view, as a lira-based company in Turkey, gives you challenges. But I see you've been massively increasing revenues in non-lira, particularly euro and dollar. That must be quite a challenge to manage, but you do seem to be able to manage it.
Since 2017, we are making a budget, but we are making also 3 most common contingency plan scenarios. So when we had the first devaluation last year in May, we put the contingency plan A onto the table. So if you do the contingency plans in advance, and because we are a developing country, we know where we can get the hit. There are certain areas, certain soft points we can get hit. And according to those, we make our sensitivity analysis and make our contingency plan right after our budget approved. And what we have done, we had 2 hiccups last year in May and August. In the May, we put the first contingency plan, and in August, the second, the B plan. So we were ready to those. If we were not ready, we might have find the same solution, but in a tougher way, because when you are in living something, you will use your heart more than your brain. But when you're not facing that crisis environment, you can use your brain more than your heart. That's why we try to work with contingency plans since 2017, and this is what we have learned through the crisis. You don't have the contingency plan, you're going to be like chopped chicken, head chopped chicken. So you don't know where to run.
But even having those contingency plans, I mean, you have to be exposed to the lira because your domestic market is important to you, and it's still the biggest part of your operation. But I've noticed that you are focusing strongly onto international.
When I started in 2016, 45% of our turnover is coming from international markets, 55% from domestic. By the end of this year, the 45 will be 80, and 55 will be 20.
Right.
So we shift our capacity towards the international, and because there is a high demand for the tourism towards Turkey, last year we broke the record. 46 million tourists came to our country, and it was 15% higher compared to the previous year.
Right.
This year, again, a double-digit growth is expected, which is going to make us 52 million. So if there's a demand towards the Turkey, and if there's a devaluation on your currency, and if you do have the capacity and chance to shift your portfolio, majority of the Turkish carriers, I can say not the majority, all the Turkish carriers did the same. Not only us. It's not a rocket science.
But that international switch has been very diverse. I mean, obviously Europe has long been a market for you, both for tourism and a number of Turkish communities in Europe. But you going into the Middle East, I don't remember if Saudi Arabia is new or additional. For Riyadh, I think is added.
Riyadh and Jeddah are the new destinations. There's a huge potential to Turkey towards the Middle East also, Because after 9/11, the Middle Easterners have difficulties getting visa to Europe. And during the winter, during the summertime, it's not that comfortable to stay in that peninsula because of the heat. And they love the forest area and mountain places, and the Alps and those areas were their favorite. Similar in Turkey, we have our Black Sea coast. And nowadays they are coming to Black Sea coast. That's why during the summertime we have direct flights from our Black Sea coast airports to Middle East because of the high potential. And they can come easily, and the environment is more convenient for them. The food is similar to their taste, and they can have the pleasure of being in a mountain area.
But again, come back to my point, the diversity of what you're doing, and that's interesting to understand that background, but you're into Africa as well, you're getting towards Asia. You have this new fleet, which you already mentioned. You made this conscious strategy to switch fleets from Boeing to Airbus, which is in transition at the moment. Are those Airbuses, particularly the range capability of the NEOs, meaning you're likely to go even further afield in the future, do you think, Mehmet?
The new NEOs, the 321s, these are going to be a game changer, not for us, for the industry, because it's going to be the cheapest per seat flights with the 321s until we're going to see the MAX 10s, what's going to happen. So when we look at that perspective, our radius is 5 to 6 hours flight. With 5 to 6 hours flight, you can go to Iceland on this part, you can go to Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan on the eastern part, you can go up to St. Petersburg on the northern part, and you can go down to Kenya on the African side. So recently we added Casablanca to our peninsula. We are working on the northern African countries. So wherever demand and whenever there is availability, we would like to be in this 6 hours radius according to the capacity. And we are not picking, we are not a cherry picker. If there is a demand, we won't hesitate to go there. And according to the demand, we can shift the portfolio.
It gives you a lot of flexibility and opportunity at the same time.
We love belly dancing, so we are very flexible.
Fantastic. Now, your airport, I'm conscious we're almost out of our time, but we've got to talk quickly on airports. There's the new airport in Istanbul, which you're in, I think, in a very small way at the moment. But your home, of course, has been...
Our base is
Sabiha Gökçen. I understand there's a new runway at Sabiha Gökçen. You had punctuality challenges in the past because you were so busy. Give me quickly, Mehmet, how is the new airport going that you're not in very much? I've heard there have been some challenges. And how about your own home airport? How do they compare?
Of course there's going to be challenges. Think that you're moving your home. When you move your home, do you know in which closet you have what? You're moving an airport, and this is going to be the largest, when the 6 runways are finished, airport in the world, 200 million passengers. So the new airport is our pride. Turkey and Istanbul is not hub only for passengers, but going to be hub for cargo transportation. The new cargo terminal is going to be 5 million tons per year. Its current capacity in Atatürk was 1.75. So it's going to be almost triple the capacity for Turkey. And Turkey and Istanbul is going to be a main transit hub for the passengers and cargo transportation. That's why we need a new airport. Of course, there's going to be difficulties. I'm not discussing whether it is the right location, the amount spent or not. But definitely, if we want to grow this business, both passenger and cargo, we need a new airport, and we have that new airport. And we have to wait a little bit. After the 3rd runway will be on operation, the time will be much less on the traffic and achieving to the runways, and it will make the life more easier. Coming back to Sabiha, Sabiha is our home base. And we need, because it's fully occupied and 42 moments per hour, and the new runway is under construction. It's going to be finished by the end of 2020. So we believe that 2 runways will be operable by the summer 2021. That's going to be, again, a game changer for Istanbul also. And in time, we're going to have the higher capacity. And with that higher capacity, we can utilize better. Because Sabiha becomes the nearer airport to the city. It's going to be a city airport. And the capacity of the Sabiha will be much better when we have the 2nd runway.
Mehmet, sadly, our time is up already, and we've scarcely scratched the surface. But, as you know, we have your Commercial Director, Gulit Ozturk, is going to be
Ask the details
coming
to
up.
her.
So the questions I didn't have time for with you,
Yeah,
I'm
ask
going to
the
be
tough
putting
questions
to
to her. Digitalization,
you-
what she's doing.
yeah,
what
we're going to
the
ask
team is
her
doing.
definitely the tough questions. To
Thank
Gulit.
you.
So, Mehmet, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.